Here on Flow FM, the regional South Australian Shadow Minister, Nicola Senafani, joins us. Nicola, how are you going?
Good, thanks, Ricky. How are you?
All right. Look, the state government made an announcement of 3 sites really sort of to the south, the east and to the north of Adelaide in Concordia, just outside of Gawler for regional housing, but the opposition doesn't feel that's enough for the housing shortages in the regions.
Yeah, no, look, Ricky, we're certainly not against the announcement of land release for more housing. But disappointingly, once again, we're seeing the regions being ignored by this city-centric Malinauskas Labor government. It's in my view and in our view that we certainly should be seeing more of a focus on housing in the regions. We know that by fixing the chronic shortage of housing and workforce across country South Australia, that this will create incredible opportunity and has the potential to deliver more than $44 billion worth of future projects.
Yeah, when it comes to that regional housing or even any housing supply in the state, just to be clear, that the state government does own some land, but it really is about changing the planning so that there's rezoning, so that, say, at Concordia or other parts of the state, that's what you're calling for, is a rezoning opportunity so more regional land can be made available?
Absolutely, Ricky, and I think the housing crisis is really a result of a perfect storm. We've seen more people working remotely with since COVID. We've seen an increase in holiday stays and short-term rentals, removing, these houses from the long-term rental market. But more importantly, Ricky, we've seen a chronic long-term inability of governments to strategically plan for housing in South Australia and particularly for regional housing. And Ricky, so many businesses I speak to daily are telling me that they can't reinvest and they can't expand because they don't have the workers to fill those offices and those sheds. And this is stifling progress and it's stifling the growth of regional communities. So we are, calling on the Malinauskas government to really look at the way that we do planning in South Australia and particularly in regional South Australia.
Well, Wayne from our morning show is out on the road at the moment in regional South Australia, and this is the message. What you've just said is exactly what he's hearing all over regional SA, is that they're screaming out for workers and they just can't take on more work. They can't expand their businesses, and one of those critical issues is the availability of housing. As you say, the pandemic came along and put that squeeze on. The tree change was on as well for people. But this was during the period of the Marshall Liberal government. Has there been across government a failure to really address a long-term structural approach to making more land available for housing in the regions?
Ricky, I think this is a problem that's occurred over decades. We know that there's 36,000 plus regional jobs that are currently vacant or have been vacant in the last year. We know that the biggest staff shortages are occurring in places like the Barossa Valley, Murraylands, Riverland and the southeast. And this is really a handbrake on growth in regional South Australia. It's my opinion that I don't think we've done planning in South Australia well for a number of decades. And I think it's time that we really look at having a strategic approach when it comes to planning.
Yeah, and on that planning front, this is what sort of I don't understand very well in this sense. I mean, I've been involved in this space in legal and other areas, but there's plenty of affordable land on the fringes of some of our regional towns, but is it the bureaucracy of councils giving it the rubber stamp, or is it a Development Assessment Commission problem that they sort of put the brakes on that land being rezoned, say, from farming or rural living to more tighter, compact residential living?
Yeah, Ricky, I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I think our councils do a really good job in trying to ensure that their communities are growing. I think the planning system, is not perfect, and I think that certainly needs some work done on it. So, we know that there's a significant opportunity to grow our regions. But that's been put at risk due to this critical housing crisis, but also due to critical skill shortages as well. Ricky. You know, it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. You know, we need more of a regional focus when it comes to not just housing, but also for migration as well as training and skills.
And one other shortage that we've talked about before, you are also the Shadow Minister for Water, is of the shortage of water on the Eyre Peninsula. A pretty critical situation looming with the Yulee Basin, possibly only got about 24 months until there's a dire water shortage there. A desalination plant needs to get built, and you've had some testimony given in Parliament recently about how fast or slow progress is on that front.
Yeah, Ricky, look, this needs to be a priority focus for the state government. The Eyre Peninsula desal is about the future of water security on the west coast. When we were in government, we did a lot of work around ensuring that stakeholder groups and community bodies were on board and had a say in the preferred site by forming the Site Selection Committee. And we know that back in August of last year, the Site Selection Committee announced Sleaford Bay West as the chosen site for them for the 5.3 gigalitre desal plant. And we know that that's been sitting with the Minister and SA Water ever since. The message that was given to me during a recent Budget and Finance Committee meeting late last month was that the department was still working with the Site Selection Committee and that it was yet to go through Cabinet. So, Ricky, I'm not sure what the hold-up is. But it's incredibly disappointing that it doesn't seem to be a priority for the Malinauskas government.
Well, Nicola Xenofani is the Shadow Water Minister. It seems to me the hold-up is that Minister Close keeps talking about needing federal funding, but we inquired of the federal government and they told us there are no current requests for money in front of them, in front of the National Water Grid or otherwise, from the state government. So what's going on?
Ricky, that is a great question. You know, apparently the Site Selection Committee representatives went down to meet with the federal government regarding the available government grants. However, I would have thought that that's very much a job for Minister Close. It's Minister Close's job to go to her federal colleagues and advocate for funding for this project. I don't know what the hold-up is, Ricky, but it's not good enough in my opinion.
Well, we'll keep tracking that one here at the Flow News 24 desk. Nicola Xenofani, the Shadow Water Minister and Shadow Minister for Regional SA. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Ricky. Really appreciate it.